In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Death is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter that unfolds in the grave, alone, without companions, without wealth, without power. Just you and your deeds. Prophet Muhammad said, "The grave is the first stage of the hereafter. Whoever passes through it safely, for him what comes after will be easier. But if he does not pass through it safely, what comes after will be worse." Tirmidhi. This is the reality of the grave, a truth that every soul will face. Whether rich or poor, believer or disbeliever, man or woman, every soul will enter the grave. But what happens there? What is that experience like? How does Islam describe it? In this video, we will walk step by step through the journey of the soul after death based on the Quran, Hadith, and the teachings of our Prophet Muhammad. We will discuss what happens in the grave, who are Munkar and Nakir, what are the punishments and blessings of the grave, and how to prepare ourselves before it's too late. 1. The moment of death, when the soul is taken, that is when the journey begins. Allah says in the Quran, "Every soul shall taste death." Surah Ali Imran 3:185. No matter how strong we are, how wealthy or how intelligent, death does not spare anyone. The Prophet described the angel of death, Malak al-Maut, coming to the soul. If the person was a believer, the angels come in white, bright faces carrying silk from paradise. The soul is taken gently like a drop of water sliding from a jug. But for the disbeliever or sinner, the angels come with dark, terrifying faces, and the soul is ripped out like wool being dragged through thorns. The pain is unimaginable. The Prophet said, "Verily, when the soul is taken, the eyes follow it." Muslim. This is why when a person dies, you see the eyes staring upwards, following the departing soul. 2. Entering the grave, once the body is washed, shrouded, and buried, the real test begins. The Prophet said, "When a man is placed in his grave and his companions return and he even hears their footsteps, 2 angels come to him." Bukhari Muslim. These 2 angels are Munkar and Nakir. They ask, "Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet?" A believer will answer easily, "My Lord is Allah. My religion is Islam. My prophet is Muhammad." And then a voice from heaven will say, "My servant has spoken the truth. Furnish his grave from paradise, clothe him from paradise, and open a window for him to see his place in paradise. His grave will be expanded as far as the eye can see, filled with light, and he will rest peacefully." But the disbeliever or hypocrite will say, I don't know. I heard people saying something and I said it too." Then a voice will cry out, "He has lied. Furnish his grave from hell, clothe him from hell, and open a window to hellfire. His grave will become tight, dark, and filled with punishment, snakes, fire, and torment." 3. Punishment of the grave. Punishment of the grave is real. It's not a metaphor or an opinion. It is confirmed in authentic hadith. The Prophet used to seek refuge from it constantly. "O Allah, I seek refuge in you from the punishment of the grave." Bukhari Muslim. There are many reasons why people are punished in the grave, including lying, gossip, and backbiting, not purifying themselves after using the restroom, hypocrisy, abandoning prayer, not paying zakat, pride and arrogance, consuming interest, riba, engaging in prohibited sexual acts. 4. The peace of the righteous. For the righteous, however, the grave is a garden from the gardens of paradise. The Prophet said, "When a believer is placed in his grave, a man with a beautiful face, nice clothes, and a pleasant smell appears. The believer asks, 'Who are you?' 'Your face brings good.' He replies, 'I am your good deeds.' And he will stay with him, bringing comfort and company. The believer will say, 'O Allah, establish the hour so that I may return to my family in paradise.' 5. The world of Barzakh. From the time we die until the day of judgment, we are in a state called Barzakh, a world between the worlds. Allah says, "Behind, them as a barrier, Barzakh, until the day they are resurrected. Surah Al-Mu'minun 23:100. In Barzakh, the soul remains conscious. The righteous enjoy comfort and the wicked endure pain. They know time is passing. They long for the resurrection, either out of hope or out of fear. 6. The evidence. From Quran and Hadith, let's go through more verses and Hadith that prove the reality of the grave. Quran, Surah At-Takathur. Nay, when the soul reaches the collarbone, and it is said, "Who can cure him now?" And the leg is joined with the other leg, in death. That day he will be driven to your Lord. Surah Al-Qiyamah, 75, 26, 30. Quran, Surah Ghafir. The fire, they are exposed to it morning and evening. And on the day the hour is established, it will be said, "Enter the people of Pharaoh into the most severe punishment." Surah Ghafir 40, 46. This verse shows that the soul sees punishment before the day of judgment. Hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari. The Prophet said the grave is either a garden from paradise or a pit from hell. He also said, most of the punishment in the grave is because of urine. Nasa'i. These narrations emphasize two things. The punishment is real. It can be for small acts we ignore. 7. How the grave reacts to the person. The grave is not a passive place. It responds to the one who enters it. The Prophet Muhammad said, "When a righteous man is placed in his grave, it says to him, 'Welcome. You were the most beloved of those who walked upon me. Now that you have been placed in me today, you shall see how I treat you.' Then the grave will expand, for him as far as the eye can see. But when a wicked man is placed in his grave, it says, 'You are not welcome. You were the most hated of those who walked upon me. Now that you have been placed in me today, you shall see how I treat you.' Then it will compress upon him until his ribs intertwine." Tirmidhi. Imagine the grave welcoming you with peace, or crushing you in darkness. This is the consequence of how we lived our lives. 8. The soul's journey. After burial, let's revisit what happens after death, in deeper stages. Step-by-step summary of the soul's journey. Angel of death arrives. Soul is removed. Gently or violently, angels wrap the soul and take it upwards. Gates of heaven, open for the righteous, or stay closed for the evil. The soul is returned. To the body in the grave, Munkar and Nakir begin questioning. Punishment or reward begins immediately. The soul remains in Barzakh until resurrection 9. What the soul feels and knows. The soul remains aware even after burial. The Prophet said, "The deceased hears the footsteps of those who walk away from his grave." Bukhari. The righteous. Soul rejoices and says, "O Allah, let the hour begin so I may return to my family in paradise." But the sinful soul cries, "O Allah, do not let the hour begin." The Prophet also told us that the souls of believers meet one another in Barzakh, exchanging news and welcoming the newly arrived. They ask, "What happened to so-and-so?" If the soul says, "He did not come," they reply, "Then he must be in hell." 10. The tightness of the grave. Even for a righteous believer, there is a slight compression in the grave, like the embrace of a mother. But for the wicked, it becomes so tight, the ribs crush and cross over. The Prophet once said, "If anyone were to be saved from the squeeze of the grave, it would have been Sa'd ibn Mu'adh. But even he was squeezed." Ahmad. This shows us the reality. No matter how pious, everyone will feel the grave, at least for a moment. 11. Examples of grave punishments. The Prophet once passed by 2 graves and said, "They are being punished." But they are not being punished for something major in the eyes of people. One used to walk around spreading gossip. The other did not protect himself from urine. Bukhari. He then took a branch, broke it in half, and placed each half on the graves, saying, "Perhaps their punishment will be lessened as long as these branches remain moist." This shows his mercy, and also the severity of even small sins. 12. The 3 questions in the grave. Let's reflect again on the questions asked by the 2 angels. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet? Only the believer will answer correctly. Allah says in the Quran, Allah will make firm those who believe with the firm word in this life and the hereafter. Surah Ibrahim 14:27. This means Allah gives the believer the strength to answer, but the hypocrite and sinner will say, "Huh? I don't know. I just followed what people said." This is terrifying. A person may memorize the answers in life, but only true belief and righteous deeds will allow them to speak in the grave. 13. How to protect yourself from grave. Punishment. The Prophet regularly made dua for protection from the grave. We should too. O Allah, I seek refuge in you from the punishment of the grave, from the punishment of hellfire, from the trials of life and death, and from the evil of the trial of the false Messiah, Muslim. Other protections include praying Salah regularly, avoiding major sins, being truthful and pure, paying zakah, and being charitable, reading Surah Al-Mulk every night. The Prophet said, "There is a surah in the Quran that will intercede for a person until he is forgiven. It is, blessed is he in whose hand is the dominion," i.e. Surah Al-Mulk. Tirmidhi 14. Dua for a good end. We must constantly make dua for husn al-khatimah, a good end. Say, O Allah, make the best of my deeds the last of my deeds, and the best of my days the day I meet you. Another powerful dua from the Prophet. O Allah, grant me life as long as life is better for me, and take me when death is better for me. Book